What is up, guys? Welcome to episode number 151 of Beef's Beef. I have a great interview for you guys today with a kid that has an incredible story. But before that, I want to get to my sponsors. First, we have Crystal Lackey at Stockton Mortgage. Crystal Lackey is the one you need to hit up when you have any refinancing needs, any home loan needs, any mortgage questions, anything that comes to when it comes to the home buying process. You need to hit up my friend Crystal at Stockton Mortgage. You can get in contact with her at 502-615-0743. Again, it's 502-615-0743. That's Crystal Lackey at Stockton Mortgage. Stockton Mortgage is an equal housing lender, MLS number 8259. Crystal Lackey, MLS number 1735979. My other sponsor is Delium Clothing. Delium is pronounced it's spelled BDELLIOM right there. Boom, 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 boom. It looks like it looks weird because it's spelled with a B, but it's Delium Clothing, BDELLIOM. You can find Delium on Facebook, Delium Clothing, or on Instagram at Delium Clothing. Delium is a men's and women's minimalistic brand that focuses on modern aesthetic and quality. Everything comes pre-shrunk, so you don't got to worry about anything shrinking in the dryer, and it's ready to wear. You can find the men's line at Him's Gentleman Boutique, and like I said last week, he had a nice, or it might have been 2 weeks ago now, had a nice fashion show down in downtown New Albany. So hit up Delium Clothing for all of your clothing needs. Boom, there it is. There's a T-shirt he gave me. Makes dope stuff. Hit up my guy Isaac for all of your clothing needs when it comes to Delium. All right, so today I have a kid that is graduating this year from Floyd Central High School here in Southern Indiana. He has a football commitment to Illinois State, and the kid has an incredible story. I can't wait for you guys to see this interview because it's going to be a good one. So without further ado, Mr. Wenkers Wright. All right, guys, I'm here with Wenkers. How's it going today, man?
Going pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I want to thank you for joining me. I know we were just talking about how you've been doing a lot of homework today with NTI and stuff and talking about the weirdness of that. How have you been getting through all that, though, outside of, you were talking about the difficulty in math homework today. How are you getting through that other than that?
Yeah, so probably the easiest way to get through it is just to eliminate the distractions. So some kids, they sit in their beds and do the schoolwork there, but when I tried it one time, I was falling asleep. So I was like, yeah, that's not happening. Yeah. So basically just eliminate any distractions and get yourself a pretty good workspace that you can effectively work at.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at where you're sitting at now, it doesn't look like a bad workspace to be in.
No, it's not. I do just fine here.
Yeah, so I read some different stuff on you. We'll give a kind of a background how we actually met. So I went to Rapid Fire Pizza right here by my house, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I recognize that kid. And because I'd seen some articles and stuff about you and seen highlights of you. And, I asked you, if you were who I thought you were, and you were like, yeah. And so I read some articles and stuff about you. And one of the things that I read was that you were born in Haiti. And at a young age, you were put in an orphanage. So the first question I want to ask is, at what age were you put in there? And then secondly, how long did you stay there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know exactly what age that me and my brother, we were both put in the orphanage, but I know at the age of 6, I was adopted and he was eight at the time.
Nice. So, I mean, what was it like in that orphanage? I mean, I'm sure it was obviously tough because an orphanage would be tough anywhere, but let alone in Haiti.
Yeah, it was extremely tough because we were basically groups. Like, sure, we had our individual care, but for the most part, it was just groups of boys, and then there's groups of girls. So it wasn't as one-on-one as you would think. So basically, everything had to be kind of self-taught or just watching other people do it. And that's kind of the way that you went about it. And you basically look after each other. Like me and my brother, we stayed pretty close the whole time, as you would imagine, at such a young age.
Yeah. So when you lived in Haiti, or I guess did you still have communication with your parents while you were in that orphanage and stuff?
Yeah, I was limited. They visited once or twice every few months. So my mom would actually come and visit at the orphanage, and she'd have little suckers and stuff for us. So it was very limited, and it only happened a few times every now and then.
So when you lived in Haiti, did you I mean, did you play any sports? And like, what did you play if you did play sports there?
Yeah, so probably the biggest sport that down there was soccer. And us boys at the orphanage, we'd go at it like crazy. Like we'd be on concrete grounds. We wouldn't care. We'd kick the ball, and it was a lot of fun. So that was one of the first sports they put me in here in the United States.
You played? Did you say you played soccer on concrete?
Yes, sir. There was no grass. You were kind of in the orphanage where it was just one big building and concrete everywhere, concrete walls around you, concrete flooring, and that was about it.
I mean, it had to hurt. I mean, you got to think all those boys being routed or being, locked down in that one place, and then you get to play soccer. I guarantee you that was rowdy. I mean, sure, you all were getting rough, right?
I'm sure we were. I don't remember exactly. My biggest memory was just missing the soccer ball, and you'd accidentally kick the brick wall or the concrete wall. So every now and then a toenail would fall off, but hey, you got to keep going back out there and go get the ball.
What?
Yeah, it was insane.
Whoa, that's insane, man. So were you able to watch TV, like, and see sports on TV in Haiti, or was it, I mean, is that any part of your memory or anything?
I do have a very small memory. It was probably extremely limited. Maybe you walk by like the main person's office and there'd be a TV there or something like that. So it was very, very little TV action down there. Like I don't remember a whole lot of TV down there.
So I mean, do you remember liking any other sports other than soccer, or was soccer really all that you knew down there?
Soccer was basically all I knew. Yeah.
Yes. So just like you were just talking about, so in 2007, you and your brother were adopted by a family in America. First off, explain the feelings you had when you heard you were moving to the U.S., and then what were your feelings when you and your brother flew to the U.S.?
Yeah. So basically, I don't know if they even like bothered telling me, because at the time of the 6th, I didn't really comprehend much. So like the first morning there, I was already calling my parents now, mom and dad, because I didn't know any better. And so it was kind of a strange feeling because they were showing us new stuff, like a swimming pool, for example. That was the first time I saw it, was at the hotel within that first night. So it was a lot of new experiences. And then when we first landed, my whole family was there at the Louisville airport, and they all greeted us. So I had tons and tons of relatives all standing there with matching shirts with me and Gregory's name on it. And that was just a strange feeling, but it's one I'll remember forever.
Nice. So when you got here, I mean, so that's your first recollection of when you flew. So where did you guys fly into first? Did you all fly into Louisville, straight to Louisville, or did you all fly into somewhere else?
I think we took a total of 2 or 3 planes to get here. I don't remember exactly which ones it was, but we did end up at the Louisville airport.
Do you remember like what it was like that first time you got on an airplane? Because I mean, I'm sure with coming from playing soccer on a concrete, or on concrete, and not even really having TV, to be flying on an airplane. I'm sure there was a TV in front of you at that point as well. Like, what was that like to just go from that to that? And I mean, literally a blink of an eye, because you said they didn't even tell you. So
No,
you're literally waking up and then they're packing your stuff and you're flying on an airplane.
Yeah, so the experience, I don't remember a whole lot of it, because my dad said when I got really stressed out, I would fall asleep. So like at a blink of an eye, if I got stressed out, I'd just fall asleep, and that's how I coped with it. So I would imagine that I was asleep on the plane ride for most of it. And then I do remember the truck ride when my parents first came to the orphanage. Me and my brother and my 2 parents now, we all piled into the bed of a truck, and that's how we got transported to the orphanage.
So that's where you got transferred from?
No, not into the orphanage,
to the airport,
wherever we went. Yeah.
So I mean, at that point, I guess you kind of knew what was going on, like when you got.
Yeah, I knew something was different, but not much I could do about it. And I was so young, so I was like, I'm going with the flow.
So let's take it back, I guess, as best you can remember. You brought up your family that was there waiting for you with the matching T-shirts. What were your first impressions when you first got to the U.S., and what was it similar or different than what you expected?
Oh, it was completely new. It was a completely new experience. I was probably extremely surprised, because at the orphanage, it was group-based care. But here, I had all these family members coming up to me, looking at me, just giving me attention, but not overwhelming me, because you don't want to do that when you first meet the new family. So it was just a whole lot to take in, but I loved every bit of it for sure.
So coming from Haiti, I'm guessing you spoke French. Is that correct?
Yes, I spoke Creole, which is just an altered version of French.
Yeah. So was it tough to adjust to the language barrier when you first got here? I'm just trying to think of you getting into the airport and all these people speaking English, and you're just like, well, first off, I don't even know what to expect because I just found this out yesterday, and now it's like I don't even know what they're saying to me.
Yes, it was pretty difficult, but me at the time, I was so young that it wasn't awful. Like I was playing with toys, and then my siblings that spoke English would come up and try to talk to me, but there wasn't much you could really do. So me and Gregory kind of stuck to ourselves for the most part, while we slowly got into the role of that family.
So when did you kind of feel? Because I'll be honest with you, if you told me that you had come from Haiti and you spoke Creole French, do you still speak it?
No, sir, I did not. I lost every bit of it.
So like, do you remember at what age you were like, oh yeah, like I can speak complete English? And like, was it very soon after you got here, or was it a pretty long time after that?
It was pretty quick because as soon as I got here, not long after they put me into school. So, I would just sit there and I'd catch on to it. But other than that, it was a pretty quick process, and it wasn't. I don't think it was too difficult at all.
So speaking on the language barrier, which you just said really wasn't that difficult, what would you say was the most difficult part of your move from Haiti to the United States, or would you just say that was the toughest part?
I would say the most difficult part was when they would put me into social experiences to build up my character. So, first year of school, I was started in kindergarten, but, I kept to myself because I didn't know who the heck those people were.
Yeah.
And that was probably the hardest part, was having to spend all 6 hours of my day at school with the other kids that I had never met before. And so I wasn't really much of a fan of school at that time.
Well, what's crazy, man, is I think back to even when I was a child, and like now, if you ask any of my friends, they would tell like I don't meet a stranger. Like, I mean, it was obvious I didn't really care to talk to you. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. Like, I don't have a problem talking to anyone. But as a kid, like I remember at a young age having those same anxiety or having the same anxiety whenever I would be in a social situation. So like I can't even imagine. Like that wasn't even one of the things that I even really thought of whenever I was writing that question. Was it would be that, but I can't even imagine one being from Haiti, there being a slight language barrier, and then them just putting you into a social situation where it's like, okay, the kind of crutch that I have in my family, I don't really have them now.
Yeah, no, it was completely different, and it was the end of the year, so basically I was basically just told to sit there and take in as much as I could, but nothing was going to be counted against me. And obviously me and my brother both, we were put at the end of the year. So we would both get held back, and then we would start kindergarten again fresh. So that was smart of them to do too.
Yeah. So you played American football in what, the fourth grade? Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yep, that's correct.
So what got you into football? Like, and how did you do with playing a sport that you had never really played before?
Yeah, so it was one of the Floyd Central football games me and my dad went to. So it was a whole new experience, but it looked kind of fun. Like at soccer in the orphanage was aggressive, as you would imagine, and then soccer here, I was a little on the aggressive side. So I was like, those guys are going crazy. They can hit each other and not get penalized for it or anything. So I looked up to my dad and I was like, I want to try this sport out. It looks like a lot of fun.
So he just put you into football and he said, "Hey, let's see what happens."
Yeah, he was like, hey, he was up for it
Yeah.
after that Floyd Central game. Yeah.
So what happened? Let's take it back to, all right, Wenkers is going to fourth grade football. What happens when you first go to practice? Because I'm sure you had no idea any of the rules at that point.
No, I didn't have a clue. They were calling plays, and like for example, 33 would be on the 3 hole on the left. I know that now, but at the time, I had no idea. And they assumed that I knew it because they knew I was a new player, but that's kind of common knowledge if you want to play football. So I think it was probably a few games in. I didn't know exactly what the plays were, but I was just fast at the time. So that's kind of all you need at the little league level. And that got me through a lot of it. But it was a whole new experience. It was very hard to catch on to. And it's a whole different mindset than soccer. Like football, you have to be aggressive. Soccer, you just have to play and abide by the rules if possible.
So, yeah, I'm just thinking like what it would be like to see a kid that it comes and probably when you're playing soccer, you're just running all the time. You get in football, you're like, oh, I actually get to rest for a little bit.
Yeah, and one of the things I remember this so clearly. It was at the end of the game, and it was I think we were down by 1 touchdown, and the time ran out, and I had the ball running it, and it was only like a 5 yards away from a touchdown, and I ran it, but the time ran out, so I stopped running because I
Oh
was
man.
never told that, hey, it's until you go down. So I stopped running, and that cost us the game. And I didn't know, even after that game, I didn't know for the longest time that I could have kept going. So that one's
So
been
they
eating me
didn't
up
even
quite a
tell
bit.
you when it happened that you lost in the game
No,
or
you
that you
really
could have
couldn't
tied the
see.
game.
You really couldn't see that I stopped running because it was only 5 yard difference and everybody was piled in, but I kind of just gave up because time ran out, and that's what I thought you did. So
Oh man,
yeah,
that's
no, that
that
was tough.
stinks. So this was Pop Warner, I'm guessing, or like Little League football, or was this school
Yeah,
league as well?
yeah, very little league.
So skip forward a few years. You start high school, and you start high school at Floyd Central. I see you rocking the shirt. Did you play your freshman year football?
Yes, I did. I played freshman ball. That was basically what they do. They put you in freshman ball and then get you warmed up and used to high school football per se. So
So
that's what I mainly did.
in between that fourth grade, I mean, I'm guessing you played some more like Pop Warner and Little League. I'm guessing, and I guess at that point you go to Highland Hills. I'm guessing before Floyd Central. Is that
Yes.
right? So did you play at Highland Hills as well?
Yep, we did. It wasn't until I think it was seventh grade that they take you out of Little League into Highland Hills football, into the Highland Hills football team. So that's what I did from fourth grade up until now. Now I've been playing football and running track every now and then.
Nice. So let's go back to your freshman year. Was that overwhelming? Was that kind of like a going back to your first time playing football? Because I know you play football and you're playing at the Little League and the middle school level. What was it like to get into a high school level where it's like, okay, now we're playing against everyone's my size or everyone's my speed almost? You're still probably going to be faster than a lot of kids, but what was it like getting into that freshman league where now it's getting pretty serious?
Yeah, so going from eighth grade to freshman might be one of the biggest jumps nerve-wise because you're so nervous just about school and the whole atmosphere. But when you're playing a sport, you would think that'd be pretty bad, but it was like the same group of kids that I've been playing with since fourth grade. Like it's the same guys growing up with me. So freshman year, we rolled the field pretty good because it was the same chemistry that we've had from the past years. So after the first game, you get the results and you're like, okay, this is not bad. We can do this pretty good.
Yeah, so halfway through your sophomore year, you actually get inserted into the starting lineup. Was this a surprise, or did you already know this was coming? Like, did your coach already said in practice, like, you keep doing this, you're going to be the starting running back, or like, how did this happen?
Yeah, I was completely blindsided by it. I was the second string running back, but I was, just kind of filling a spot. I didn't play JV. I was just dressing for varsity, and our starting running back during a play got a concussion against Columbus East, one of the best teams that we faced. And it
Oh,
was
wow.
that game. They took him out. I'm not sure if it was past halftime, but they took him out, and I had to go in and play. That was the biggest jump. It wasn't no Providence or New Albany or Jeff. It was Columbus East, and it was a awakening call for me for sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, that season, even though you started halfway through the year, you still ran for almost 800 yards in just 5 games. Explain your feelings after that season. Was it a feeling of accomplishment? Like, did you feel like you could have done better? Is it like, okay, I feel like I'm on the right track? Like, what was your feelings like at the end of that season?
Yeah, at the end of that season, it was kind of a going through the motions feeling. I wasn't really excited or disappointed because we were iffy at that year. I think we went 500 record, so I didn't see the upcoming year coming at all. But at that point, it was next man up mentality, and from then, just took it one game at a time, and it turned out for the good.
Yeah, so your junior season, like you were just speaking, I'll start off with a bang. And just your second game of the season, you ran for over 350 yards and 4 touchdowns, including a 97-yard touchdown run. So when did you know, like, let's think back to that Providence game, because I'm sure that's a game that you always have in the back of your mind. of, okay, yeah, that was fun. When did you know that was going to be your game? Did you eat a extra chili dog before the game? Did you eat something good? Like, when did you know? Was it in warm-ups? You're like, man, I feel pretty good today. Like, what was it?
It was the halftime feeling. Let me tell you, first half, we were tied 7-7 going into the locker room, and coach was mad, as he had every right to be. Like, we weren't playing good ball at all. So he pumped us up. He got mad, he yelled at us as a football coach would do. And it was just that feeling of what is going on during halftime. And so we just sat there in silence, and then we warmed up, and then we got the game going. It was like a whole new football team. That's kind of how we played that whole year. Like, we were a second half team. We'd play okay in the first half, but in the second half, it's like a whole different team. And that's where 70-80% of our points come from.
So do you remember how many yards you ran for in the second half?
Probably close to 70% of everything I had that game. Like, it was just a big run after big run after big run. I think the first half, one of my touchdowns came from like a 20-yard run or something like that. So the second half was basically the whole game for us.
So I'm going to blow everyone's mind with something, because in the first 4 games, you rushed for over 1,000 yards, including 2 games of over 350 yards. So how did it feel? Because I'm going to be honest with you, I played basketball, but I'm nowhere near anything like that. How did it feel to be in that kind of groove, to where it's just like, I'm doing whatever I want? See, you ran for over 700 yards in 2 games and ran over 1,004. Like, explain that feeling. Like, what did it feel like to be in that groove?
No, it was an extraordinary feeling. Like, football player, right? So at school, everybody's coming up to me, talking to me. And then eventually someone came up to me and goes, "Hey, dude, did you know that you're second in the nation right now for the first 4 games?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, you're second in the nation this week for having 1,000 yards in the first 4 games." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So that was just a great feeling. And then after that, of course, we had our tougher games of the schedule, but I enjoyed every bit of that first 4 games that I could.
So I looked over your entire schedule, went through all the box scores from your junior year, and you only had a few games that you were under 100 yards. What would you say as a player you took from those games to get better, and what did you feel the other teams keyed on to kind of take you away or slow you down in those games?
Yeah, so those games were obviously a little annoying, as you would think, after success, and then when it gets taken from you, it's not the best feeling. But it's usually kudos to the other team, because they have our film. You can go to huddle.com and you have every team's previous games film. So basically they would study the films, and if I was on the right side, usually I'd go left or cross across the quarterback and get the ball going that way. So they would key on little details like that. So just from my alignment, they would almost know for the majority of the time which side of the field I was going on. So it was probably just came down to how much film they watched and how much they studied on us before the game.
So I'm going to ask you a question here, and then I want you – because I didn't put this on there, so I'm going to hit you with one I didn't put on there. So, all right, give me a play. I want you to give me the call of it, your favorite play that you knew when you heard that you're like, all right, I'm taking it to the house. Like, which play was that? And then I want you to give me the call for it, and then kind of break down what's going to happen and, like, what we would see.
Okay, so I think last year, probably the best play that we ran was called wing right or wing left 31 zone. So that would put me straight behind the quarterback in I formation. And if it was 31 zone, I'd open to the left side and I'd go straight up to the 31 hole. Now, as I go, I take the hand off with the arm closest to the quarterback up as he puts the ball right in my pocket. And immediately after, I want to be at the 1 hole. And that's where the linemen, they block for a second and then they peel off. One lineman goes to the linebacker while the other one goes to the other linebacker. And it's literally like a straight shot. So basically all my job was to sprint as hard and as fast as I can. And that played pretty well. I think the Providence 97-yard run was a 31 zone, and it was just straight up the gut. And at that point, speed kills.
So was there a certain lineman that you guys kind of keyed on for your team?
Yeah. So last year it was probably Trent Hyatt. We call him Big American on the team. And he's a monster. And as you know, this year we like to run to Zen Maholski's side because
Yeah.
he bloomed up, big boy.
Yeah, I mean, he was committed to Louisville there for a while. Now he's going to Ohio State, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So you killed that, by the way. I didn't even tell you about that question. You already knew what play. So your junior year ended with a loss in the playoffs to Bloomington South. What happened in that game? Because it was 14-13 at half, and then you guys didn't score again. What would you say was the reason why they pulled away the way they did?
Yeah, I would say it was just when momentum was taken from us because, we're trying to march down the field. But when everything goes wrong and an interception is thrown, the whole level of the stands, the sidelines, anybody on the field for the Floyd Central side, it just goes down.
Yeah.
And then when one bad play leads to the next, if they score on that that interception, then it's even farther down.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's all right, guys, come on. And then one bad thing led to another, and it was out of our control before we knew it.
Yeah, I mean, the snowball effect is something that's so big in every sport, man, and football is no different. I mean, yeah, you throw an interception, they end up scoring, like you said, off the interception. It could just snowball like that, and all it takes is for one player to get down, and then the whole team can get down.
Yeah.
So insert 2019, 2020, and really, I guess it's 2020, 2021. I'm sorry. This is your senior year. COVID happens. And how much were you all able to really work as a team and practice as a team because of COVID?
Well, I think it pushed our start date back a few weeks. But other than that, we were able to, I think we met 3 days a week, but on the field, we would have certain hash marks that we have to be at. And when the coach would call a huddle, we couldn't get close because this was at the beginning of COVID, and we didn't know anything really about it. So in the weight room, we would wear a mask, and we'd have to stay inside our racks with the three guys at most. And then it was just really weird because on the field you could not get close to each other. And I think another rule was we couldn't share the football, so that was not fun. Yeah.
So you all couldn't hand it off during practice?
Mm-hmm. So the first few times was basically just conditioning and trying to get in shape, and then eventually later we'd start putting in plays and using the football. So it didn't matter too much, but it was still kind of a strange rule.
Yeah, that is super weird. I mean, I guess you could run the shadow plays or fake handoffs or whatever, but after what, you're not getting anything from that you could touch each other, but you couldn't hand the football off.
We could barely touch each other. If you touch each other, you had to spread out because there's cars going by on the road, and you never know who's going to see it. So if you can't avoid touching each other, get away right as soon as you can afterwards.
So it looked as if your carries were down a good amount this season. Was there a change in the game plan to mix things up, I guess, because of how the last season had ended?
Oh, yeah. So this year we were – at the beginning of the year, we were almost, I guess, 50-50 for throwing and running the ball. And we had a pretty good passing game going. We had pretty good receivers, Caleb Quinnishay, and then we had some sophomores, Zach Hutzler and Eli Branham. And the connection with them and Tristan was spot on. I would block. Then as soon as the ball would go out of Tristan's hand, I was like, here we go. And they catch it wow. It made my job much easier. So it was a completely different ball game that Floyd Central really doesn't play well in the past few years, but we took advantage of it this year.
So was that difficult to do, or was it like, hey, I'm a team player, we're winning, I don't care what happens?
No, I was a team player. I was like, hey, if Tristan wants to get, I told him, if I get 1 yard this year, but we go to state and you throw for $1 million, I'm the happiest guy in the world. Success is all that matters, really.
That's a teammate, man. So the season started and ended, and even a game in the middle with Jeffersonville. And what was it? What were the changes you felt like they made to ultimately injure all season, because you all had blown them out the first two games you all played?
Oh, yeah. So the changes they made, us on the Floyd side of the ball, we didn't make any changes. Because, when you beat a team by 30, 40 points, what is there to change? So we did not anticipate them to change anything. So we kept the playbook the same. but their defense, I think every single position changed. Like they would, like I said before, they watched our film. They knew where I was going before I would even get there. So it was very frustrating, and it was almost too late to try to put in a new play during the game or at halftime.
Yeah.
So we were almost left with no choice but to keep pounding the ball. And then our passing game, the passing game was not good that game. It was probably the worst it's been this whole season. But it was just the changes they made and how much studying the coaches did to prepare for us, which we did not see coming. And it did not play in our favor in the end.
So I want you to take me to that last time in the locker room, because this is really where you've grown up, and this is your family. What was that feeling like to know that your time at Floyd Central was kind of over, and especially not where you wanted it to be at?
Yeah, it was kind of a punch in the gut to every single senior on the field because, we had the odds on our side. If you were to bet, you would probably bet on us, and it was just kind of just an awful feeling because it was not at all, like you said, how we expected it to go. And just the atmosphere in the locker room after was kind of sickening. And it was I don't know. I didn't like a single bit of it.
So let's talk about a happier side of it. When did the recruitment process begin, and who was your first offer, your first football offer?
Yeah, so it was junior year during track season. It was I think it was before COVID happened. It was Illinois State reached out to me after track season and got me on the phone, and they offered me that night.
Nice. So explain that feeling. You're on the phone, and you're like, "Hey, man, football's pretty cool." Do you get someone who says, "Hey, we want to pay for your college just because you're so good at football"? Like what? Like explain that feeling.
It was like an elephant was lifted off my shoulder because college is a pain, and they were taking the painful part of it off my shoulders. So it was like I had finally gotten there. I had the next few years of my life was being planned out for me, basically, and it was all because of football. And I was such a happy feeling. And my dad was there. I remember my dad was cooking dinner at the time when I was on the phone, and it was just such a blessing. And I was so happy.
So how many offers did you end up getting?
I got 4 offers. One, Illinois State was the first, and then Indiana State was next. Actually, Bowling Green State was next, and then Indiana State and Missouri State was the final 4. So that was the 4 schools that I had to choose from in my process.
Missouri State, that's Bobby Petrino, right?
Yes, it is.
Bobby Petrino, okay, yeah. So did you take any official or unofficial visits?
Yes, I took an official visit at Indiana State, and I had junior day visits lined up for Bowling Green, Purdue, and just some other schools. But the virus kind of shut 3 or 4 of my visits down, so I only went on one official one.
So I was going to ask which one was your favorite one, but I guess if you only took one to Indiana State, like let's break down that visit. Like what was it like going on the Indiana State campus?
No, it was really nice. It was they would break you off into positions. So I was with the other running backs that they were recruiting, and they would take us on a tour around the campus, and it was extremely beautiful, as you would imagine. And then towards the end of it, we would all line up and we would go get a meal that they prepared for us, and then we would finish the visit with watching the football team have one of its I think it was a Saturday night game, and so it was a really neat experience.
Nice. So did you get to do like the normal recruit stuff where you put the jersey on and take pictures and stuff?
Yes, we did. Actually, on my Twitter, there's some pretty cool pictures of, I think, the photo shoot that they did with us.
That's awesome. So did you have, like, let's say going into the recruiting process, did you have a dream school, or is there a school you wish that would have offered you but didn't?
Yes. So my dream school was Louisville at the time. And I was pretty bummed out that they didn't reach out, but things happen for a reason. So I just got to keep moving on to the next chapter.
I mean, so I think you mentioned to me that you'd gone to some of their camps and stuff.
Yes. I went to, I think 1 or 2 of their camps where you just showcase your skills and speed and anything that your position demands out of you.
And how did you do at those?
I did pretty well. I think I had to top 10 fastest 40-yard dashes, and I was jumping I think I tied for first or second place for the longest broad jump, which they would test you in. And I felt pretty confident after that little showcase thing.
So here recently, have you heard from any other schools that are trying to get in on the Wenkers Wright? Get in there late and say, hey, maybe we could sneak in there and get him before signing day.
Yeah. So the most recent school that reached out was Dartmouth, but that one kind of fell through. I didn't think I was the right fit for that school, so I think I'm pretty solid where I stand with Illinois State.
So when is signing day for you?
December 16th, I think. So I think it's somewhere pretty close to that.
That's 2 days before my birthday. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So I'm guessing, are you just going to do a signing day at your school or?
Yeah, I think it's just going to be in the open area at my school. And I don't know. Usually they have family members there, but with all this COVID stuff, I think school might be shut down then too, because they just recently shut down the Floyd County New Albany High School, New Albany Floyd County schools, and so I don't know how that's going to be. Actually, that's a good question.
Yeah. So, like we were just speaking on, you committed to Illinois State. What was it in your heart of hearts at the end of the day that said, this is where I belong, this is where I want to go? Like, what was it that made you make that decision to go with them?
Yeah, it was after the virtual visit of the campus. And not only was the campus showed to me, but I had a face, I could actually see the coach. This was the first time I'd ever seen him and talk to them in person, basically, because that was all we were getting with the.
You remember when this was?
Ooh, it was during the first session of quarantine. It was during the schooling last year.
So probably like February or March or something.
Yeah, they called me up and they talked to me. So that was pretty cool. And then after that visit, they showed me the campus. I met the head coach, talked to the running backs coach and the recruiting area coach, and it was a pretty good visit.
Nice. So have you decided what you're going to major in?
Yes, I want to go into business management, and I'm thinking towards the State Farm side of things because they have the State Farm Hall of Business, which is the headquarters for State Farm there at pretty close to the college.
Nice. So let's look forward to next season. I don't know. No one wants to wish their life away, but what are you looking forward to most about playing football at the next level?
Probably just the opportunities and the benefits I can get from the football program. Yes, I'm going to get stronger, but also the coach is going to be molding me into a young man and a student athlete. So just the opportunity and chances that could lie for me in the next few years.
Not only that, you gain a lot of networking things with it, especially if you're going to go into the State Farm stuff. I mean, that's a lot of networking that you'll gain from alumni and stuff.
Yes,
of that nature.
It's tons of connections.
Yeah. So let's look forward. What are your goals going forward in football? Like, is this all right? I'm just planning on going to college, play my 4 years, and then be out of football, maybe, or is it I want to try to play at the next level after that?
Well, I was actually asked this question by my older brother, I think 2 years ago, if I wanted to play college ball or not, and I said no at the time because that was after my sophomore year. I didn't think anything was going to come out of it, but obviously I had to let the other years play out, and look at me now. Yeah. I'm going to be playing college ball. So I think that's another thing I have to take one step at a time. I would think that I would try my hardest to take it to the next level, but you never know what happens.
Absolutely. I mean, there's been plenty of small college guys that have made it. I mean, you have your guys like Antonio Brown, and that just really made it. No one even heard of this guy going into college. And, at the time he was the best receiver in the league for a while. So anything can happen. And you've come a long way already, man. I mean, you go from playing soccer on concrete and kicking brick walls to running for over 350 yards against a team in high school, man. Like, if anybody can do it, it's someone like yourself that's as determined and focused in it as you are.
Thank you.
So we got one last segment for you, man, then I'll let you go on because I know you're in high school. You're probably getting into stuff all the time. So are you familiar with rapid fire questions? Where I ask you questions, you kind of say the first thing comes off your mind?
Okay, yeah.
All right, so up next is our Mike and Cheese rapid fire question segment. So Mike and Cheese, it's the best macaroni and cheese in town. Hit them up. Free delivery to Louisville and all Southern Indiana. It's a $15 minimum. Their trays start at $10. You can give them a call at 502-548-5600. 502-542-6845. Make sure you tell them you want to try the Beef's Beef Pizza Mac. Again, it's 502-548-6845. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Favorite pregame meal?
Meal. Ooh, I would probably have to go maybe pregame snack. I'm a light eater before the game, so I got to go with beef jerky on this one.
Oh, beef jerky. Okay,
Yes, sir.
I mean, I can feel it because your stomach kind of get turned sideways.
Oh,
yeah.
No,
And
a mess. It's a mess before the games.
Yeah, and you're getting hit too. So yeah.
Yep.
All right, pizza or tacos?
I'm gonna go with pizza on this one.
I'm with you too. Wings or burgers?
Burgers, I think. I'm gonna go with burgers.
I mean, I like both of them, so it's not gonna hurt my feelings either way. So, all right, this is a big one for me though. So don't kill me on this one. French fries or tater tots?
Oh, tater tots, easily.
Oh my goodness, I'm so disappointed right now in you. Like you've done so well up until this point. So, all right, we'll move to the next one, even though I'm highly disappointed now. All right, favorite movie?
I think I'm gonna go with Black Panther. That movie just had a whole different vibe to it, and it was just well written. I love that movie.
And now it hits different now that he's
oh my gosh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yep, it hits completely different.
Yeah. Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Mint chocolate chip.
Solid. What's your biggest fear?
Probably death. if I had to say something,
okay.
It's so uncertain. So it's just something you don't want to play with. You just got to take it right.
All right, best player you've ever played against?
Probably the running back for Columbus East. His name was Mark. I forgot his McDonald. Mark McDonald. He's a stud. That guy's as big, wide as he is tall, and he just runs with so much energy and strength. He's a dude.
All right, favorite restaurant in the Louisville area or this area? What's your favorite restaurant?
I'm gonna go with Dragon King's Daughter in this one. That's in New Albany. That's sushi. I'm not a huge fan of sushi. I thought, but man, I tried it. You just gotta get the right stuff, and I'm hooked.
So you go I mean, I guess not now, but I mean that's a place you would frequent.
It is now. I just got into it less than a year ago. Probably going on 4 months now, and I've had it 5 or 6 times since. It's amazing.
All right, last question here. Your favorite football player and your favorite athlete ever?
So I think this guy falls into both categories, and it's Taysom Hill for the New Orleans Saints. Are you familiar with him?
Oh yeah, the backup or third string quarterback for the New Orleans Saints.
This guy will get everything done. You ask him to play lineman, he would do that too, and he'd rock it. This guy, he runs the ball, he returns the ball, he plays some linebacker, punt return, quarterback if need be. I just think he's a little slept on, but every time I watch him, it seems like he can do no wrong.
Well, New Orleans definitely ain't sleeping on him because they kept him instead of keeping Teddy. So,
yes, I did see that, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, see what I mean, they threw all their eggs in the Taysom Hill basket. So that's crazy. I've never heard anybody say that that's their favorite player or favorite athlete. But
I know
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, most people are not familiar with him at all.
Oh yeah. I play a lot of fantasy football too, so you kind of got to know who all those players are.
Yeah.
So, Wenkers, I appreciate so much you taking your time out. Like I said, I know you finishing up NTI and doing all this stuff, man, and you're working, getting ready for college. I appreciate so much you taking some time out and doing an interview with me, man.
Nah, I'm glad you reached out to me. This was a lot of fun. For
sure. And throw your social medias out there so people can give you a follow so they can keep up with you on the next level and give you a follow.
Sure. You can follow me on Instagram at Wenkers.Wright21. And then on Twitter, you can reach me at WrightWenkers. There you go.
Awesome. Well, man, I appreciate it again. You have a great night, and hopefully I'll see you soon, man.
All right. Sounds good. You have a good one, too.
All right. See you.